Making their way into the pavilion so that we can get started with the program. I promise you, you will have plenty of time after the program to take lots and lots of pictures. Please start making your way into the pavilion. Thank you so much. Richard French. Richard French. All right, if everyone would please take your seats, we're going to start the program. The riders sit back here. Do we have riders on the stage? Do the riders sit up here on the stage? We need to find out for sure. Will our Remember the Removal riders please join me on the stage and take your seats, please? Thank you. Remember the Removal riders, please join me on the stage. Thank you. We need all of the Remember the Removal bike riders to please join me on the stage. Thank you.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good.
Why do you look so tan? Yeah, I know you guys are going to be taking She's not here.
It's not here.
She picks it.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Howdy. How are you?
I'm good. Straighten me up. That thing's so hard to keep straight. Yeah, you look good. I'm gonna have to get something and get it rigged. There's a way to rig it into your clothing.
Yeah, that's true. We'll say.
Hi, Delegate. Oh, we're here. Oh,
Yay!
yay!
Hey, all I welcome you with us and get a shitload of work.
Hey, Logan, will you take that? Thank you. I'll just take that. All right.
Sure, a couple more people are rolling
All the
in.
writers.
It's like every seat's about to be full, so you have to see it.
Is this all the writers?
I saw they tore down the old barn and stuff there out there.
Cameron, is this all the writers? All right. All right, everyone. What an exciting day. It is such an honor and a pleasure to be here and see so many friends and families and our officials here to support our riders. OCO, I am Kimberly Teehee, Cherokee Nation's delegate to Congress, and today I will serve as your MC. Welcome to this glorious event today. It is with great joy that we gather here today to celebrate the incredible journey of these bike riders on the Remember the Removal ride and their safe return. And yes, this particular year's bike ride is memorable because it also marks the 40th anniversary of this bike ride. So it's a significant moment for us all. And for that, I want to ask all of those who were part of the first ride who are here, please stand so that we can acknowledge you. Sorry. Thank you. Need that. Thank you. Thank you so much. And by the way, there's an OCO TV segment on the very first trip, and it's definitely worth watching, guys. If you can look on YouTube, you will find it. We are honored to host our esteemed guests and dignitaries, as well as the leadership from the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. Your presence here signifies the unity and shared culture between our tribes today. Today, we gather to commemorate the resilience and strength of our ancestors, while we also celebrate the courage and dedication of our riders, both the youth and the mentor riders. Their enduring spirit of the Cherokee people is always an inspiration when we gather annually for this celebration. Let's give one big round of applause to the returning RTR bike riders. Where? Oh, there you are. Okay, now I'll ask everyone to stand, if you're able, for the singing of the Star Spangled Banner, performed by our very own Cherokee National Youth Choir. The Youth Choir are ambassadors for the Cherokee Nation. Their beautiful voices exude the strength of the Cherokee Nation and its culture more than 160 years after the Cherokee's forced removal from its eastern homelands. They are led by the wonderful Miss Mary Kay Henderson, who is also a former Miss Cherokee. Youth Choir, please proceed.
Still there. Oh,
Oh, beautiful song. Thank you. Oops, we're going to stand again if you don't mind. Next, we are honored to have to the stage Cherokee Nation Deputy Chief Brian Warner. Deputy Warner is a leader committed to our young people and to the educational experiences of the RTR, and he will serve as our speaker for the welcome and also the invocation. Deputy Chief.
Sion to God. You all may be seated. Yes, yes. That's what you were waiting on right there. Welcome. Welcome to the Cherokee Nation Peace Pavilion, and let's welcome our riders back home. Such a wonderful day. The Lord has provided the sun. He's provided the birds, the flowers, the breeze. He's provided each and every one of us to remember. Deja da gayu, says Steve. Let's love one another. Let's hold one another sacred. Let's come together. You know, so many times in this world there's things that we do not understand. But today we understand a little bit more because of these riders, because of the trials and the tribulations that our ancestors have been through, because of the things that we face each and every day. We could not do this without certain groups that have come to us, that have been sent to us by the Creator. And each and every generation, there's a new group of heroes. There's a new group of warriors that come about. And these Cherokee warriors, they represent the men and women that served us in our military service, no matter which armed forces that they served in. If you are a veteran or you're an active member of the United States military, can you stand so that we can recognize you for your heroism and your courage? Wado to each and every one of you. Now, on Juneteenth, I shared this, and it was very fitting on that day because we understand the freedom that that day represents. But I want to share this again. It's out of Psalms 107, verse 13. Then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and He saved them from their distress. He brought them out of the darkness, the utter darkness, and broke away their chains. Thanks be to God, because this is the word of the Lord. And I want you to understand that this also is fitting today because of the darkness. You think about the darkness that our ancestors saw, the things that they had to come out of, the things that we see today. What does it look like? It could be historical trauma that we all face and suffer from. It could be the absence of a loved one that was taken too soon. It could be the absence of a loved one that was here for so long they become a beloved elder. But yet we know that there are times that we need the Creator. We need things. And our Creator, He has provided that light for each and every one of us today. He has provided these riders for a remembrance, because now today they can share a story of understanding that we will all get to cherish together. Because remember that those Cherokee community values, those guiding principles, that Gadugi, that Deja da Gayu, Sesti, those things mean so much, and they mean so much more today than ever, because we have a way about us. We don't never forget our past. We never forget where we're at today, and we have to strive to understand where we are going to go in the future. So I say to each and every one of you, our brothers and sisters from the Eastern Band, our brothers and sisters here that are with us from the Cherokee Nation, all three Cherokee tribes had convened this week. And I want to say wadon to each and every one of you. So now let's go to the Creator and let's bless this event. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, yes, please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for this time of fellowship, Lord, and thank you for all the many blessings that you have given each and every one of us, Lord. I ask today that you fill the vessels here with the fruit of your Spirit, Lord, and fill them with an extra measure of understanding of where our people have come from, where they have been, understanding of the troubles, but knowing the truth is that you are the way, the truth, and the light, Lord. We thank you, Jesus. We thank you so much for the things that you provide each and every day, Lord. Those daily provisions, those reminders of a loved one, Lord, and that vision of what a future can be. when love knows no boundaries, Lord. Today, your grace and mercy, let it extend to each and every one of us so that we can remember to extend that grace and mercy freely to one another. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you, folks, and have a great day. What don't?
Thank you so much, Deputy Chief. Next, I have some special guests we want to acknowledge, and we'll begin with our dignitaries here. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge our Principal Chief, Chuck Hoskin Jr. You just heard from him, our Deputy Principal Chief, Brian Warner. Our former Principal Chief and current Executive Chairman of Cherokee Nation Businesses, Bill John Baker. Our former Deputy Principal Chief, and current Cherokee Nation Secretary of Veterans Affairs, S. Joe Crittenden. Cherokee Nation Treasurer, Janice Taylor. Cherokee Nation Secretary of Natural Resources, Christina Justice. Cherokee Nation Delegate to Congress, no applause. Cherokee Nation Deputy Secretary of State, Kanan Duncan. Cherokee Nation Deputy Secretary of State, Tara Lee Montgomery. Former Principal Chief and Speaker of the Tribal Council and current Cherokee Nation Special Envoy for International Affairs and Language Preservation, Joe Byrd. We are also joined by members of our council. Speaker of the Tribal Council, Mike Shambaugh. Deputy Speaker of the Council, Victoria Vasquez. Secretary of the Tribal Council, Dora Patskowski. Councilor Sasha Black Fox Qualls. Councilor Dr. Condessa Teehee. Councilor Lisa Hall. Councilor E.O. Junior Smith. Councilor Joshua Sam. Councilor Cody Poindexter. Councilor Kevin Easley. Councilor Danny Callison. Thank you, councilors, for joining us today. Of course, I want to acknowledge one of our Supreme Court justices who's here today and who was also a participant of the Remember the Removal Bike Ride, Justice Shauna Baker. I'd also like to acknowledge members of the Cherokee Nation royalty, Ambassador Ryan Afeder, sorry. Little Miss Cherokee Camille Teehee. We are cousins. I also want to acknowledge Cherokee Nation Businesses Board of Director Tommy Sue Wright. Mayor of the City of Tahlequah, Suzanne Myers. Now members of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, Chief and Council, starting with Principal Chief Michelle Hicks. We've got Chairman of the Council, Richard French. Perry Shell. Michael Stamper. Boyd Owl. Bucky Brown. Adam Wachacha. All right. I also want to acknowledge Eastern Band Cherokee of Indians, Miss Cherokee Scarlett Guy. I'd like to also acknowledge Cherokee Nation former tribal counselor and current president of the Trail of Tears Association, Jack Baker. I also want to acknowledge David Hampton, Cherokee genealogist. All right. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce this next speaker, whom I'm blessed to not only call our leader, but also my dear friend. Principal Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr. is a dedicated leader, an advocate for cultural preservation and education within the Cherokee Nation. His leadership continues to inspire and guide our tribe toward a brighter future. His commitment to fostering a deeper understanding of Cherokee Nation and our vital role in this state and in this nation is remarkable. He is a fierce advocate of treaty rights and a great defender of our sovereignty. In 2019, he took the bold step of invoking a nearly 200-year-old treaty right from the Cherokee Nation when he appointed Cherokee Nation's delegate to the U.S. House of Representatives, a treaty right that was expressly provided for in our removal treaty. And I am honored and humbled to serve as the nation's first ever delegate to Congress. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce our chief, our friend, Principal Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Thank you. What up? Deputy Chief Warner, members of the council, members of the cabinet, Chief Hicks, representatives of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, remember the removal riders, and ladies and gentlemen, what an honor it is to join you for the return of the Remember the Removal Riders. Over the course of the last 4 decades, we have come together to celebrate this return. The entirety of the ride, of course, is about something very important in history. Every year, this occasion challenges the country to do something it's apt to not do unless we make them do it. And that is remember the Trail of Tears, remember the removal. And because of these riders and all that came before them, we are not going to let this country forget what happened. As this group was departing, of course, our hearts and our minds were on the task that they were undertaking. And our hearts and our minds were also on the task that our ancestors undertook in 1839 after their resistance to that brutal federal Indian policy finally resulted in our people being rounded up in stockades, marched across this country to see a quarter of their brothers and sisters, men and women, grandpas and grandbabies perish from this earth. And we all, I know, were thinking of that as they started on their journey. I can't imagine the thoughts that were in the minds of these riders as they started that journey. And as they retraced the history of that brutal journey, we know that they were filled with a great measure of sorrow and pain. But they persevered, they made it here, and in making it here, as we've done over the course of the last 40 years, they help restore us. They help fill us with hope and optimism. And that's why this ride is not just about history and remembering, although we must tell our story and we must remember, and as I say, we must not let this country forget. But this ride always has been and is today about not just remembering, but about making progress and celebrating the progress. Because what did our ancestors do after that brutal period of removal? Did they stay down? Did they bend and then break? They did not. Right here in our capital and in other parts of this reservation where the detachments finally stopped, they just got back up and started to rebuild. They just got back up and started to rebuild that great Cherokee society that has always been there. They just reached down inside them, even though they almost didn't have anything left. And they found it. And they said we're going to begin anew here in our new forever home. And that's what our ancestors were made of. And that's what all of us that are Cherokee citizens that have the privilege to be citizens of this great nation, that's what all of us have in it, if we'll reach down and find it. Well, you don't have to question whether these riders reached down and found it, because they had to make it across the country on this nearly 1,000-mile ride. They had to find it. And in coming back and having found that grit and determination that's in each and every one of us, I know that they are today filled with hope and optimism and a belief that this nation can continue to make progress. And that's what we have to be filled with. And that is part of the reason that we memorialize the removal, is not just to hang our heads about what happened in the past, not just condemn the United States for a failed and brutal federal Indian policy, but to celebrate what our ancestors did. Because when they rebuilt this great society, they did something that is a legacy that stays with us today. The reason we're able to build on all of this progress is because of what they did. And so in their name, every single day we're trying to move this nation forward. But we would do well from time to time to remember that journey. We would do well from time to time to remember that sacrifice. We would do well from time to time to remember the loss that happened as a result of that journey. And that's why this Remember the Removal ride and the efforts of these riders is so vital to the progress of this nation. And that's why the riders have such admiration and devotion by not only the Cherokee people, but all of our friends and neighbors, and not just here on the Cherokee Nation Reservation, but across the country where these riders travel through, and across the country where people read the story of these riders. People are filled with the kind of hope and optimism that, frankly, this country needs today. And they're remembering this story of sacrifice and destruction and rebuilding. And that's what the country needs to focus on. Ladies and gentlemen, I talk a lot, and I have the good fortune to talk a lot about our ancestors and the grit and determination that they applied to the circumstances that they found themselves in the 19th century. Ladies and gentlemen, our ancestors were not infallible, and neither are we. Our ancestors, though, wanted us to make progress. Our ancestors believed that their sacrifice would mean that the best days of the Cherokee Nation were ahead of us, not behind us. That's what every generation of Cherokee people want, is for the future to get better. It is worth mentioning, and it is worth reflecting on, that 185 years ago, as our ancestors were marching across this country at the point of a bayonet, it's worth remembering that they took with them all of the property that they could scavenge to take. And we ought to remark today, and frankly, we ought to remark every time we talk about the removal, that they also gathered up property in the form of black people who were enslaved under the laws of this nation. 2,000 slaves made the march on the Trail of Tears with the rest of our brothers and sisters. Our ancestors were not infallible. Our ancestors wanted us to make progress, and I think it's a measure of progress that here in 2024, here as we close out the first quarter of the 21st century, that a descendant of one of those slaves proudly joined the rest of the riders on this Remember the Removal ride. That's progress in this nation. That's progress. Shauna Miles is the first Cherokee citizen of freedman descent to make this ride, but she won't be the last. She'd also be the first to tell you that she is just one of the riders. She is one of the group. That's equality among these Cherokees who made that ride, and equality is the order of the day at the Cherokee Nation. That, I believe, is what our ancestors hoped for, that we would see better days, that we would make progress in this nation. And we're seeing that progress today. Ladies and gentlemen, every time I've had the good fortune to bear witness to the send-off of these riders, every time I've had the good fortune to witness the return of these riders. I am filled with new hope. I am filled with such optimism for the future of this nation. I can't help but think that when the Cherokee people, when our ancestors made it to this land, yes, they felt beaten down. Yes, they were the victims of injustice, but they also had enough hope and optimism to make better days for the Cherokee people. And I know that all of us today, having seen these riders come home safe, are filled with that same sense of hope and optimism, because, ladies and gentlemen, the best days are still ahead of us. Thank you all very much. Wado.
Thank you so much, Chief Hoskin. You know, as Chief was speaking, I was also thinking about all the people who are behind the scenes helping our riders day to day with their laundry, cooking for them, being cheerleaders for them, just making sure they had places, safe places to sleep at nighttime, and leaving their families too. Eastern Band, I think, alternated staff every, 3 legs throughout this 3 weeks, and then we did 2 weeks. I think only Will Chavez was there with them the whole time. But let's acknowledge all the staff, our marshals included, who kept our riders safe. Will you stand, please? All the staff who helped. Come on. Thank you. Thank you. Because of you, you keep our riders safe through this long journey. Next, it is my pleasure to introduce Chief Michelle Hicks. This is someone who I've had the pleasure of knowing when I was in Washington, D.C., working for Congress and in the White House, because Chief Hicks had held this position once before. He leads a 15,000-member tribe and has led them through remarkable economic development growth and cultural advancement. We commend his efforts in preserving our shared history and culture. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage Chief Michelle Hicks.
Shield. Oshig. All style. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Chiefs, thank you for your words. Thank you for your prayer. Chiefs, it's good to see you guys. I work, Deputy Chief, good to see you. Work with many people in this room, and I'm humbled by an opportunity just to say a few words. First of all, when I got to the site this morning, a sense of pride came into my heart, and so, as you think about all the words that's been said, and our journey so far, we continue to be a proud people. We're strong, we're resilient, we take care of our communities, and that's where my pride comes from. I know that there's a lot of people here that's worked hard, and just thinking about the riders. How many of you stayed in contact with Facebook and to see where these guys were and were they safe? And because we all care, we all appreciate the trip that they were making. And so thank you for allowing me just to say a few words. I'm going to apologize to my staff. I'm going off script, so I'm going to go ahead and say that up front. But I want to recognize my family from the East, my wife Marcia, oldest daughter Savannah, my son Noah's in the background here, Amaya, Marley, all my nieces, my grandson, my sister-in-law. But I want to ask that all of the Eastern Band Cherokee members please stand, and let's please give them a hand for making the trip. And I don't mean to point one of our elders out, but Miss Crow over here in the purple is the oldest member that made this trip. I'm not going to give her age. I appreciate her more than she knows. And sometimes, with our elders, sometimes you just have to be quiet and listen. and she wants a bingo hall back in our community. It's going to happen. We're going to get it. We're going to get that bingo hall. And so appreciate, again, just the opportunity to say a few words. As you think about our history and, the strength that we all have, the services that we're bringing to the table today, it's huge responsibilities. But if we remember what our responsibilities are and our making sure that our communities are always taken care of, as I come back into the office, thinking I'd retired in 2015, and those that have come back into office, you'll know what I'm talking about. Sometimes there's a message, there's a voice that you don't understand because you think it's about you and what you want to do. But it's not about it's about what the people need at the time. And we may not have all the answers, but if our heart is right, then we know what to do. We're going to be guided from the Lord above. We're going to be guided from our ancestors. We're going to be guided, as Deputy Chief said yesterday, from those Cherokee values. We all know what they are. We don't say them every day, but we know what they are. Taking care of each other, working together, Gadugi. It's important. And so as I close here today, again, I just want to share my pride for these riders, especially my son. My oldest daughter and my son have been able to do the trip. I got 3 more daughters. 3 more daughters. 4 of these guys are single. Just saying. But I want everybody, if you would stand, and I want you to get a hand. I want you to grab a hand beside you. And let's feel the strength. Let's feel the power of our Cherokee people. Stand up. Grab a hand. We're still here, and we're not going to let United States of America forget who we are. We've always been strong. We've always been resilient. And I'm very proud of who we are as our Cherokee people. Shki, God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Hicks. By the way, I'm single, but I think I'm old enough. I think I'm older than you. As I said earlier, retracing the northern route of the Trail of Tears is a life-changing experience for those who undertake this annual journey. These riders traveled nearly 1,000 miles. This youth leadership program is so important to Cherokee Nation. It gives us a glimpse and it gives the youth a glimpse of the hardships that their ancestors faced. Also allows them to learn about their culture and their language. We are so proud of them for not only being willing to take on this challenge, but for overcoming all of the obstacles they surely faced along their journey. I heard last night about Missouri. That was just enough to say the state. I don't think they wanted Missouri to show me anytime soon. But now let's welcome to the stage 3 of our riders from the Cherokee Nation, and they will be followed by a representative of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, who will all share their experiences. So welcome to the stage for right now, Cameron Fight James, Justice Shauna Baker, and Ashana Miles from the Cherokee Nation.
Well, we prepared remarks separately, so we'll just follow one another. But I wanted to start with OCO Chief Hoskin, Deputy Chief Warner, Chief Hicks, tribal leaders, my wife Sarah, my family and friends. It's an honor to stand here in front of you today on the Cherokee Nation Reservation in Tahlequah. After pedaling the 950 miles through the 7 states, I really wasn't sure if I was going to make it here today or not. This time, more than 2 centuries ago in 1838, the Cherokee Nation and its people were in a very different position than we are today. But the Cherokee people stood strong in the face of tremendous pressures, the loss of their way of life, the loss of their land and their resources from the United States, who looked at the Cherokee Nation's sovereignty as a threat. But our ancestors did not back down, and instead resisted in a manner that reflected the spirit of a real government, taking the legal actions using the power of press and diplomacy and democracy. But ultimately, this audience knows the outcome and knows that our ancestors were removed in a manner that was brutal, that crippled our people and our nation, and resulted in the loss of family, of friends, of grandmas, grandpas, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, and children. This Remember the Removal ride embodies the Cherokee experience. While pedaling our hearts out, we retraced every mile that our ancestors walked. We visited the places of historic significance to our nation, our capital city of New Echota and our de facto capital city of Red Clay, spots where Cherokees perished in stockades and encampments and perished in spots along the trail, sometimes buried in unmarked and mass grave sites. But most importantly, we took up space in all of those places. We took up space to increase the visibility of Cherokee people. We took up space because we had the inherent right to do so in the places where our ancestors once existed. To my fellow riders behind me, each of you represent the future of our nation. Each of you took this ride for a unique reason, but ultimately we did it for everyone. For every citizen of the Cherokee Nation, every citizen of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, so that the public does not forget the strength of our ancestors and the price that was paid so that we could be here today. While our experience was nowhere near the inhumane, traumatic, and cruel experience that our ancestors endured, we have a unique perspective on the Trail of Tears. And I know that when this group of riders goes out and talks about removal, from here on out, we'll speak with it with conviction and from the heart. Each day, a different rider led the team, and on day 2 of the ride, I served as the lead rider, with Ashana as the second and Josiah as the caboose. And I'll never forget that day, because we led the group out of, at that time of the 1830s, the historic Cherokee Nation boundary, across from Red Clay, across the Tennessee River, at Blythe's Ferry, which was the westernmost border of the nation, and into then the border of the United States. And from there, we were headed west to our new homelands, our forever home. We made a stop at Rattlesnake Springs, a historic encampment spot for Cherokees. And here in this specific place, our nation's leaders voted to take management of removal into their own hands. Here, a nation of prisoners were still in council. At this stop, each rider got back on their bike, and as the day's leader, I could feel they were different. Our group rode differently. We rode stronger. We had a purpose, knowing more about our ancestors' experience. And this was true of each historic site we stopped to visit, because it changes you. To my mom, who took this ride with me, and who last year met my comment of, I'm going to do the RTR ride with, so am I, let's do it together. Wado, and thank you. We stayed together side by side. Yeah, thank you. We stayed together side by side through it all. And because that, we're stronger together. I know that our ancestors also found strength in one another during the forced removal. Together, we honored our Cherokee relatives who were driven from their homes in one of the worst acts of man's inhumanity. While at the Cherokee Removal Memorial Park, each rider found the names of their ancestors who were on the Trail of Tears. Collectively, my mom and I found a total of 37 Cherokee relatives. But we also found a total of 112 enslaved human beings that were forced under our own laws at the direction of my ancestors to accompany them on the Trail of Tears. The 112 were amongst thousands, 2,000, which Chief Hoskin alluded to earlier, of people enslaved by Cherokees. And we must work to ensure that their stories and experiences are not forgotten when we also talk about the Trail of Tears. My fellow Cherokee Nation riders, thank you. My fellow riders and I have returned home to see our nation's flag waving bright over a sovereign nation, a great Cherokee democracy where I know that without a doubt our best days are ahead. Our arrival draws no comparison to the brutal, painful, and forced arrival of our ancestors who survived, but we share one thing in common. Just as our ancestors did, we will go out into our communities instilled with strength and hope, and we will pave the way for the next 7 generations of Cherokee citizens. I will never forget the strength that I found in myself, the strength of my mom, of each teammate, and the strength of our 14,000 plus Cherokee and over 2,000 enslaved individuals who were part of a nation that was under threat and on the move in 1838. Finally, following our journey to remember the removal of our Cherokee people, my hope is that this reminds you of a promise, and actually a treaty obligation, that the federal government made to our ancestors. A delegate to the House of Representatives, I ask that we seat our delegate, Wadeau, and thank you. And on behalf of the RTR team, we'd like to give a gift to the tribal leaders, Chief Hoskin, Deputy Chief Warner, and Chief Hicks, who supported us so much throughout this ride. And so if we could have those gifts, we'll present them. And with that, I'd like to introduce my fellow writer and Supreme Court Justice, Shauna Baker.
OCO, it is such a proud moment for me to address you today as I look out into this sea of welcoming faces and I see family members and friends and fellow Cherokees. You have no idea how much you are a sight for sore eyes. We're so grateful to be home and to be with you today. Chief Hoskin, Deputy Chief Warner, Mr. Speaker, Madam Deputy Speaker, to the Tribal Council, thank you so much for believing in this program and for continuing to fund it year after year. To Cherokee Nation businesses, Chairman Baker, CEO Garrett, and to all the staff, Cherokee Nation businesses, thank you for sending us out on bikes and with equipment that was able to bring us safely home. I want to start by saying it's officially Pride Month in the Cherokee Nation, and I thought it only fitting to use the word pride as an acronym for my remarks today, so there's really no better place to start than P is for people. One of the beautiful aspects of this RTR ride is that it brings all Cherokees together. It unites us, the Cherokee Nation here in Tahlequah, throughout the reservation and at large, as well as the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. I want to thank each and every Cherokee, wherever you are, for your kind words, your social media likes, and your other forms of outpouring and encouragement, your prayers that brought us safely home. When we arrived in North Carolina to meet our fellow riders and teammates of the Eastern Band, Chief Hicks and your tribal council, you were so gracious in extending so much hospitality to us, and I really appreciate that. It felt wonderful to be home and to be welcomed home, and thank you so much. To our support staff, both with the Cherokee Nation and the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, we couldn't have done this without you. In fact, I think it's pretty much safe to say that I might still be waiting in Missouri for the 2025 riders to come through to pick me up if it hadn't been for some of them. In fact, Miss Marie Eubanks, she showed up in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and she brought the biofreeze in one hand and the cooling towels in the other. And Madam Treasurer, those expenses are necessary and essential, so please approve them. You know, these individuals, they took care of us each and every day. They answered the call of duty. They went above and beyond. They were away from their friends and their loved ones and their family members, and we couldn't do it without them. And just one more time, I'd like to send them a big round of applause. So to each and every Cherokee, again, I am proud of you. R is for resiliency. You know, resiliency sort of seeped through our pores during those hot, long, and hilly days in Missouri. It's found in our DNA. It's a gift from our ancestors that's been passed down since time immemorial, from the first one fire. It was in our ancestors that walked the trail. It was in our original 1984 riders when they paved the way. It's been in each of the other 14 cohorts of riders, and it's been in this team, this 2024 team today. And with that being said, I also want to remind each and every one of us that it's in all of us. It's in all Cherokees. And for that, I want to say, once again, 2024 riders, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your resiliency. You made it through Missouri. When I think about I think about impact. The motto on our jersey says, never forget. And I look to the impact of the 1984 original riders, and I think about what they laid the trail for. You know, their impact was felt when they arrived home shortly thereafter. For the first time ever, the Trail of Tears received historical markers, formal markers of recognition. And each of the 15 cohorts of riders that have followed in the original's footsteps, they have helped to keep our ancestors' memories alive. But they've also deepened relationship with Trail of Tears associations across the 7 states. They've helped develop relationships with towns and communities, with individuals. And many, if not most of the people that we met along the trail, that are telling our stories, that are sharing our history, they are non-natives. They are not Cherokee. But they love us, they want to lift us up, and they want everyone to remember. In fact, in Hopkinsville, Missouri, we had the pleasure of meeting Miss Alice Murphy. And Miss Alice Murphy was so proud that we were there that particular evening for dedication of a placard on the Trail of Tears. And it is the first placard that has been set in stone that is written entirely in syllabary. So now these individuals are not only telling our story and sharing our history, but Chief, they're helping to keep our language alive. So to Miss Alice Murphy and to Alice Murphys of their communities, I'm proud of each and every one of you. D is for diversity. Our team consisted of 17 riders. We had 9 women and 8 men. If you look on the stage, 11 of us are between the ages of 19 and 29, and there are 6 of us between the ages of 45 and 50. We are by blood and we are freedmen. We are gay and we are straight. Some of these individuals woke up each morning just dying to eat hills and mountains for breakfast. Some of them were waiting to descend to see if they could reach 50 miles an hour or more on their Garmin. And there were some of us that just like to be slow and steady in the middle of the pack. But each of us offered our unique contributions to our team, and collectively it was a joy to celebrate our differences. And so I want to say that I'm proud to the Cherokee Nation Education Department and to the Eastern Band Cherokee Choices for the teams that they assembled, because we were able to come together again after only 2 practice rides in North Carolina, and we have made it 950 miles together. So thank you to each of those staffs. Last, I want to end with E is for everyone. So our team, like the Cherokee Nation, was woven together strand by strand to create a magnificent tapestry. And the fabric of our nation is stronger and it's more colorful when each and every person is not only encouraged to be, but is embraced for being their true and authentic selves. Celebrating both Pride and Juneteenth with my team allowed space for the honoring of all of our ancestors, ancestors whose stories may never be fully told and or fully known. As my team disbands here in Tahlequah today, I've never been more proud to be Cherokee, and I've never been more proud to serve the Cherokee Nation. Wado.
Sio Nagad. Sio Ashana Miles Dagwado, Hickscone, Awidetia, Delegwano, Digega, Dolela, Janela. Hello everyone, my name is Ashana Miles. I'm 50 years old and I'm from Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and I currently live in Wagner, Oklahoma. 2024 RTR team, we made it. And just so you all know, there will be a sign-up sheet on the side because I'll be taking stock out in Gatorade and BioFreeze. So if you want to sign up with me, come along. First, I want to give an honor to God for keeping us safe on the highways and the roads during this entire trip. I'm thankful for the protection and guidance because first and foremost, without God, we would not be able to do it. Next, I want to thank our Chief and Deputy Chief for their leadership and continued overwhelming support to this ride. Wado, Chief and Deputy. Next, I want to thank my fellow riders, all the support team, all the communities who hosted us, and everyone who make this ride happen. And I certainly want to thank my family and friends. Lastly, a special thank you to the one who went above and beyond, the one who showed me understanding, patience, encouragement from the beginning until the end. Husband, thank you for it all. I love you. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a journey, an experience both physically and mentally. This challenged my emotional well-being and pushed me beyond my comfort zone. However, it encouraged my personal growth and resilience. This ride provided me and the team a chance to learn about our past and how we continue pushing forward for a brighter future. It taught us the true meaning of Gadugi, working together, and perseverance. It is with immense honor I stand before you today as the first Cherokee Nation citizen of freedman descent, remember the removal bike rider. I am filled with pride and hope. My presence here is a powerful statement that will continue to honor the legacy of those who came before us and to keep pushing forward. This marks a profound moment in our shared history, a history marked by both suffering and resilience. On this ride, I often thought about my ancestors, Thomas Foreman, Susanna Fields, Charles Foreman, Patsy Bushyhead, Dorcas Bushyhead, William Lynch, Harry Buffington, Louisa Mackey, and Mose Mackey. All of these individuals were forced to take this journey, and some of these individuals as slaves. As a Cherokee citizen of freedman descent, this ride carried an additional layer of significance. As a citizen of freedman descent, we were forced to walk the Trail of Tears and fight for recognition, dignity, and justice within our communities and nation. My inclusion in this ride symbolized a step toward reconciliation and unity with both our nation and the communities. This acknowledges our place in a painful history and our contribution to survival and continued growth for our nation, Cherokee Nation. One of the most impactful stops for me was at Blythe's Ferry. Realizing this was the last time our ancestors, my ancestors, would see their original homelands and be forcibly removed west to Oklahoma was very somber for me. Reading my ancestors' names on the memorial wall brought me a unique sense of peace and feeling of gratitude. Knowing everything they endured, everything they went through, allowed me to stand before you all today. Wado to everyone who supported and encouraged us on this journey. I end this with two of my favorite quotes. Maya Angelou reminds us, we may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. Always remember your perseverance is your strength. And lastly, Angela Davis stated, I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept. Let this ride be the symbol of honoring our history and our ancestors. And let this be a symbol of resolve to create change, to continue to fight against the injustices that still plague our nation and strive for a nation where equality is not a dream but a reality. Wado to each of you for being here, and congratulations. Remember the Removal 2024 team.
Shauna had also, if she doesn't mind me telling this brief story, she told me this story about Blythe Ferry, and I think one of the things that surprised her, but it was a good surprise, was that she found her ancestors' names etched on the wall. And sometimes when there's struggles with visibility in our shared history and culture, to see that symbol where they were known, you know, she saw them etched in stone, that they had visibility, and that brought her great sense of pride and fulfillment too. Next, I want to call up to the stage Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians representatives Nika West and Angelina Jumper.
Chill. First, before we get started, I'd like to present Principal Chief Hoskins with a gift from the Eastern Band.
Hi, and I would like to present Deputy Principal Chief Brian Warner with also a gift.
See if I can do this without crying. This has been a journey. This has been something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Something that started back when I was a teenager. And as a kid, I grew up working in Unto These Hills in Cherokee, North Carolina for almost 20 years that told the history of the Cherokee on the Trail of Tears. To thousands of people who came to Cherokee and watched, and I couldn't tell you how many shows I performed there. But when I hit 13 or sometime in my teenage years, I thought how cool it would be to honor our ancestors and ride a bike from leaving, and in my vision, leaving Unto These Hills and riding I-40 all the way. Little did I know until this program a couple years ago that there were other routes. And so we went on the northern route. And before I get started here, I just want to give thanks to my wife and my kids who have gone through this numerous times. And the running joke is I'm going to get a RTR shirt that says 2020 through 2024. And if you trained with me, rode with me, please stand up or raise your hand. Okay? I'd like to thank you guys. Thank you for all your support, for being there with me. And thank these guys right here. These guys, I couldn't have asked for a better team to have ridden with, to have been with. God has a purpose, and God put me on this team. In 2020, I was selected. We all know the wrath of that year with COVID. Canceled our ride, something that I've been looking forward to, and then I started working on my doctorate, so I postponed it a couple of years. And then last year, I got accepted again, and did all the training, did all the classes twice for the second time. And 2 weeks before departure for North Carolina, I was having some eye issue and went to the eye doctor and found out I had a detached retina and 3 tears in my left eye that required immediate surgery, which sat me out last year. And I just want to say thanks to Eastern Band for putting your faith in me, for helping me get on this year's team and be here, support Cherokee Nation, for allowing me to be here, be able to train, be able to take classes here. Will, thank you, Will, for all your support. I live in Springdale, Arkansas, so it was easy for me to come over here than travel 12 hours to go to North Carolina every weekend. But I want to thank Eastern Band and Cherokee Nation for allowing me to be able to participate and be able to do something that I've dreamed for a long time. And I also want to thank our 1984 alumni. Thank you for paving the way for all of us to be able to do this ride, learn who we are as Cherokee, and find ourselves along the trail and be able to walk where our ancestors walked. As I know Shauna mentioned it, and it was also one of my favorites, Blythe's Ferry. because every time I travel home, I look at the mountains. And, you know, I grew up there. That's home. And when I leave, I don't want to leave. And just like our ancestors did, they looked back that one last time. And they knew they were going to a land they knew nothing about. But they persevered, just like we persevered on this journey. We had many hardships along the way with us. Our ancestors had many hardships. And along the way, they found a way to support one another, just the way that this team supported one another. We are one, we're one team, and we had one goal, and that was to honor our ancestors, remember the removal bike ride. Skeet.
Nika. I think Nika is a true testament of what it means to be Cherokee, and applying for 4 years, right? The persistence and the perseverance of what it means to be a Cherokee person, I feel like Nika really embodies that. And so we're really happy to have had him on our team this year. This journey, I think for all of us, has been extremely emotional, but I think we've grown a lot of faith, you know, and who we are as people, and what it means to be a Cherokee person. You've got 2 different tribes, you know, and 950 miles apart from each other, and we really came together as one. You know, we are each other's medicine. And, you know, when we reach out and we help each other and we encourage each other up those hills, and we encourage each other through 950 miles, 7 states, and some stops that, you know, are not so easy to go back and remember what happened there. You know, you go to all of these beautiful sites through all these different states, and you're like, wow, you know, our people were getting further and further away from home. And your heart breaks, and it breaks more and more the further you get away from home. But at the same time, to be able to come here and be welcomed in such a way by the Cherokee Nation has been absolutely incredible. And it's been awesome to be able to create such a team and a group of people that actually care about each other. You know, we have really been able to cry on one another's shoulders and give each other those hugs, but we're also able to get in the van and joke around and laugh around and be able to get to each place in a good way, you know, and I think that there's healing in that. And each place that we stop, we're able to remember those ancestors who didn't get to have that same type of healing because there was so much grief and so much going on, and, you know, that full means of trying to just survive on this journey. And to be able to walk in our ancestors' footsteps and, you know, just feel a glimpse of the things that they were experiencing at that time has been absolutely remarkable. And I wouldn't have picked a better team to have done this with. You know, each one of these people have taught me so much, you know, not just only about, you know, who they are, but who I am, you know. And being able to have that teamwork and that perseverance within each other is incredible. And, you know, until you go on something like this journey, you really don't know what you're capable of. I'm so thankful for Will, you know, to continue to keep this going and keep everybody on their bikes and pushing everybody through. Our support staff, they're always there with a water bottle and a cold towel ready to cool us down from, you know, hiking 40 to 50 miles at times straight, you know. And then not only that, but making sure that we're okay, you know, not just physically, but spiritually and mentally and emotionally. We've been so cared for by so many different people, and all the different places that we've stopped, we've had people that have genuinely cared about us. You know, and that's something that I don't think, you know, you get every day as life is so fast and moving. These past 3 weeks, they've gone by so quick, but at the same time, they've been so long, right? 3 weeks when we left New Echota and jumped in that blue hole. What a way to start our trip, but that feels like so long ago. And, you know, for our people to have taken that long journey and have had different obstacles and different mileage that each detachment was able to go by. You know, it's beautiful to be able to stand right here and tell you guys that we made it and we're still here as Cherokee people. We'll continue on as a nation and we'll continue rebuilding and continuing to take pride in who we are as people. And so thank you to everybody that's been supporting us on Facebook and everybody that's been cheering us on and everybody that's been giving us the encouragement to just keep going, because you all are the reason that we keep pedaling. We as Cherokee people are the reason that we keep pedaling. And, you know, I'm really excited for all the new people that get to come on this journey and get to feel these things, because it's absolutely life-changing. And I wouldn't have changed the group of people that I did it with for the world. I have found so much love and so much faith and strength through this journey. And so, shki, and thanks for everybody that's coming out. And we hope that everybody from our Eastern Band families and team members, we hope everybody makes it back home to the mountains safe. Shki.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts about this journey and in these past 3 weeks. We truly appreciate you. Next, it's my pleasure to welcome Cherokee Nation Speaker of the Council, Mike Shambaugh, to the stage.
Well, CO, on behalf of the Tribal Council of the Cherokee Nation, I would like to welcome all friends, family, and fans of our return of our removal riders. You know, back when I spoke the first time when you were leaving, I told you the best advice I could give you was to keep the faith. You know, keep the faith in your Creator, but also keep the faith in each other. Because any team, and you are a team, you have to pick each other up to keep going. And I can't imagine making this trip. And you know, I try to put things in perspective at times about how things were. And it's hard to imagine what our ancestors went through. And you know, it is important that we try to, you know, we don't try, but we do remember and we honor them. And this is one way that we honor our ancestors. It's a debt of honor for what they went through. But you know, back in the day, when that day came and the soldiers came and they said, you're leaving now. There is no tomorrow. You're leaving. So, you know, if you've ever been to North Carolina, which I've been there numerous times, and I'll have to say to my Eastern Band brothers and sisters, I always say this: great hospitality, great people. I so love that place. Chief, you've done a great job with your tribe. Councilman, you also. But what I have taken back from it, and Speaker Byrd, I still call you Speaker Byrd, you'll always be my speaker. But we were there at a gospel singing, and there was a gentleman who sang a song as the soldiers had loaded everybody up on the wagons and they were getting ready to start the Trail of Tears. They asked the soldiers if they could sing this one last song. And for whatever reason, they let them. So that song was passed down throughout the generations, and we got to listen to that song that night. And you know, back when they were talking about the riders and what they've been through, about the freedmen, and then I think about this song, and I get goosebumps on my arms, because it's hard to understand fully what our people went through, the horrors that they went through. You know, if for some reason everybody here, all of a sudden a bubble formed and we had to make this trip, could you make it? You have no choice. You know, at one time I thought, you know, I wanted to play stickball. I thought that'd be great. Then I went to North Carolina. I thought, I don't want to play stickball no more. So, but no. But now I got kind of a bad wheel, and I thought how it would be nice to be able to make this ride. But, you know, I probably couldn't do it. I ride something called an assault bike when I work out, and it hurts me. So I'm no longer able to do what you did. So think back when the soldiers took our people And we had people who weren't able to make that trip, but they had to. And you know, it's your family members, it's your elders, it's your kids who may have been sick, who may have had a crippling injury, who knows? But you know, they had to stick together. And Andrew Jackson used that as an ethnic cleansing because, you know, we didn't conform to what they wanted us to be. So they were going to eliminate us and take away our culture, take away our language, take away everything that made us Cherokee. But I promise you this, if you've never been to Cherokee, North Carolina, you take the trip and you'll see what it means to be Cherokee. You'll see what it means to be strong Cherokees. You come to Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Here we are in this Peace Pavilion. This is ours. You go to the complex. That is ours. You go across the 14 nations. We are strong everywhere as a Cherokee people. So riders, thank you so much. I can stand here and talk, but I haven't been through the experience. I can't say what you have seen and how this is going to change you. And you know it has. It'll change you for the rest of your life. It's just a different perspective. But you have a perspective that unless you go on the trail, you may never get. So one more thing about perspective. I was talking to one of the riders, our Supreme Court Justice, and 1 hour of bike riding on a bike was about the equivalent of 2 days of travel in a wagon. So think about that. That's insane. And if you've never been up those mountains, very unforgiving. If you've never got out of your car, you know, the people who stayed and had to hide in those mountains, there's nothing like this. It's all like this. I mean, it is straight up and down. And I've walked up that a little bit. So the hardships that our people went to survive and remain Cherokees is every reason in the world that we honor them today. So God bless you all. May the Creator continue to bless you all. And may the Creator bless you all for everything that you've done. You've represented your people well. Wadah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Now, if I could have Chief Hoskin, Deputy Chief Warner, and Chief Hicks come to the stage for a special presentation of awards. I'd like to, as I introduce each of the riders, you will present them with the awards and pose for an official photo. Okay. Alrighty, and I am going to read them in alphabetical order. We'll begin with Taylor Armbrister. He's 25 from Little, Kansas. Okay. All righty, next I'd like to bring to the front of the stage Justice Shauna Baker from Tulsa. All right, next to the stage is Jacelyn Christie from Park Hill. Next, I'd like to bring to the stage Cameron Fight James and Mama Heather Fight from Fort Gibson. Next, I'd like to bring up brothers Cassidy Galaviz from Snowbird Community in Cherokee, North Carolina, and Cruz Galaviz. All right, I'd like to welcome up Jasmine Goodman from Fort Gibson. Next, we'll welcome up Christy Heron from Yellow Hill Community in Cherokee. Next, I'd like to welcome up Noah Hicks from Painttown Community. Angelina Jumper, please join us from Snowbird Community. Next, I'd like to bring up Josiah Losi from Painttown. Ashana Miles from Wagner, Oklahoma. Please come up. Yes. Thank you. All right. Next, I'll bring up Hannah Nugent from Lost City. All right, next is Christy Ross from Pryor. Next, we'll bring up Jackson Smith from Tahlequah. Finally, the last rider of this team, you heard from him already, Nika West from Big Cove Community. Thank you, everyone. I want to acknowledge all of the family, the husbands, the wives, the spouses, the partners, the sons and daughters who, we know this was tough on you as well as you parted with your spouses and partners and your daughters and your sons for this journey. But we know that they've came back safe, they've come back stronger. And why? Why are they stronger? Because they're Jalagi. And so thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming here to help us. Thank you for those who helped put this wonderful event together. And, you know, we know that after these 3 weeks of traveling, they're all due for a week-long break. So hopefully everybody's taking a little vacation after this event. As Cherokees do, we endure the journey and all the struggles and experiences that come with it, and we persevered. They are now official RTR alumni, and let's give them one final round of applause. Everyone, please stay hydrated as these hot days are approaching us strongly. This concludes our program. Cyclists, please remain on the stage as we take a series of group photos. This concludes our program. Wadon.